Hey everyone, we're diving right in today with Hurricane Milton.
Yeah, no time to waste.
It's just slammed into Florida, and we're breaking down everything you need to know. We've got a stack of news here, hot off the press.
Gotta make sure everyone's totally up to speed.
Exactly. We're going beyond the headlines though, right? Getting into the nitty-gritty.
It's easy to get lost in all the noise, for sure.
And we've got to start with the human cost, right? 4 people confirmed dead in St. Lucie County.
And that's before the hurricane even really hit.
That's what gets me. Those were from tornadoes spinning up in advance.
People think they picture the big one, not all the side effects.
Exactly. Like the prep is all about that main event, but the danger zone is way bigger.
Tunnel vision, almost. The lead up and the aftermath, that's when folks get caught off guard.
That's such a good point. And speaking of scale, get this. Over 3.4 million homes and businesses without power in Florida right now.
Whoa, it's hard to wrap your head around that.
Millions, just in the dark.
And it's more than just homes too, right? Businesses, traffic lights, think about hospitals even.
It's the whole system going down.
Total ripple effect. And this is something we see time and time again, sadly, how unprepared so many areas still are.
It really highlights the massive impact these storms have, even when we think we're in the clear.
Yeah, and speaking of being in the clear, we should talk about the good news, or at least the unexpected news. Remember how Milton was initially a Category 3?
Right, and everyone was bracing for a major hit.
Exactly, and then it weakened fast down to a Category 1 by the time it actually made landfall.
Which is huge.
Yeah.
It sounds like just a number, but that wind speed reduction makes a world of difference when we're talking about damage.
Absolutely. Less wind means less structural damage, which likely means lower insurance payouts in the long run.
So that part makes sense. But here's where things get interesting. Insurance company stocks actually went UP yesterday.
Really?
Yeah, up. It seems counterintuitive, right? Hurricane hits and insurance companies are suddenly doing better.
Well, on the surface, yeah, it's a head scratcher. But it makes sense in the context of the market. Investors were expecting the worst with a Category 3 hurricane.
So when it downgraded to a Category 1,
It changed the entire game. Suddenly, that weaker than expected Milton, even with its damage, was viewed as a net positive from a financial perspective.
so less about the actual damage, more about how that damage compared to what everyone was fearing.
Precisely. It's a fascinating look at how natural disasters and the market are intertwined. Sometimes what seems illogical at first glance actually makes perfect sense when you dig a little deeper.
Really makes you think. And speaking of the bigger picture, one thing that struck me while going through all this is that Florida is no stranger to hurricanes, right?
Oh, absolutely. This is familiar territory for them.
So with that in mind, what makes this storm different? We see hurricanes every year, right?
Right. But this time, we need to look at the long game, the bigger picture. One of the insurance CEOs we read about said something really eye-opening. He said northern Florida, it used to be considered pretty safe from the worst of it, from these major hurricane hits. Not anymore.
And a lot of the houses up there, they're just not built for that, are they? For those kinds of winds and rain.
Exactly. They aren't held to the same building codes as down south. A lot of people don't even realize there's a whole standardized code for hurricane zones, roof construction, window strength, even how they lay the foundation.
So even if Milton itself, like the immediate damage, wasn't as bad as it could have been.
The real damage, the lasting economic impact, that's what could be a slow burn, especially in those areas that haven't had to deal with this kind of direct hit before.
Like a delayed reaction almost.
Exactly. And on top of all that, we can't ignore the elephant in the room, right? Climate change. This isn't just one storm, it's the trend line.
It seems like every time we turn around, there's another hurricane in the Atlantic or the Gulf.
And there's a reason for that. Warmer water, it's like adding fuel to the fire, makes these storms more intense, more frequent. Think about this. Because of climate change, hurricanes like Milton, they're now 200 to 500 times more likely. What used to be, a once-in-a-generation storm, could be happening every year.
That's a scary thought. And it's not just about how often they happen either. The source mentioned that Hurricane Helene, the one a few weeks back, because of climate change, it had something like 10% more rain, 11% stronger wind.
It's measurable, the impact climate change is having. It's not theoretical anymore.
Okay, so we've covered the human cost, the economic fallout, and this looming threat of climate change. But we got to talk about the politics of it all, too.
It's kind of 2024, right? Everything's political.
To say the least. One article mentioned some comments Trump made about how the Biden administration's handling things. And, well, it sounds like the same old playbook.
And here's the thing. We're not here to fact check or take sides. What's important is how instantly these natural disasters become political footballs. And that just muddies the water for the people who actually need help.
Yeah, it's a tough reminder that even in a crisis, there's always someone trying to score points.
Exactly. Makes it even more important to stay informed, be critical of what you're seeing and hearing, especially after events like this.
So there you have it. You're all caught up on Hurricane Milton. The human impact, the economic fallout, the undeniable role of climate change. But here's something to chew on. What if these milder hurricanes, they're not just a fluke? What if this is the new normal and they keep hitting places that just aren't ready?
That's the question, isn't it? And the more we understand the science, the economics, the human stories behind all of this, the better equipped we'll be to make the right decisions going forward.
Food for thought. Until next time, everyone, stay curious, stay informed, and most importantly, stay safe.